studio. I want to welcome you today to our monthly podcast. It's been a very busy morning for this morning. I want to let you know that we had a shooting incident at the area of 12th and Hamilton. It came in about 5:20 in the morning. Unfortunately, we did have an adult male subject that was struck. He was taken to the hospital, adult male. Our investigators are actively working the scene. We are requesting help from our community. If you have any video or information that you are aware of, please send it through to us, either through our TIP 411, contacting our detective bureau at 610-437-7721. At this point, there is no danger to the community. So again, please, if you have any information in this matter, please definitely reach out. At this time, I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about our thank you for two retirees that occurred over the past, and additionally the other officers that retired recently. Two of them, Assistant Chief Bill Lake and Assistant Chief John Hill. I just want to say thank you for their service as my right and left hand in my command staff. I want to welcome aboard Assistant Chief Jim Gress, who was promoted from Captain to Assistant Chief, and Assistant Chief Michael Becker, who was promoted from Captain to Assistant Chief of Operations. Both these gentlemen are very dedicated and professional officers, and my expectation, they are going above and beyond right now. Very much for the officers, very much for the team that we have here in Allentown, and especially for our community who, we can't do this job without the help and coordination and collaboration with our community. It's truly important that I also mention our other retirees that happened and thank them for their years of service for our department. Law enforcement can be a very powerful and nice career where you meet a lot of good people, not only in the community, but businesses, organizations. So thank you to those officers who serve with distinction in our police department for in excess of 20 years. And for those that are choosing to become police officers, know that you're entering a very honorable and noble profession. And this tradition of good law enforcement cannot be done without our youth coming through and choosing to become police officers. So I encourage folks, if you are interested in policing, I'm going to talk about that more in a little bit, but make sure that you come on board with the Allentown Police Department. We'd be happy to have you. Additionally, I want to talk a little bit now about our crime stat update, because I like to do that in the beginning so that you kind of have an idea. And since this is the first podcast in 2022, I want to give you a rundown of how it compares to last year. And one of the things that's important, we're going to put on some graphics up there about the 2021 year to date. Luckily, and what improved, as you can see, is we have an overall Part 1 crime decrease of 11.18%, and that's pretty good. Overall Part 1 crime is your more serious offenses, such as homicide, robbery, burglaries, aggravated assaults, those type of things. And it's important that this work that is being done by the dedicated professional police officers, the men and women of the police department, in addition with the help of the community from various businesses, nonprofits, everybody involved in ending the gun violence that may be out there, it's important that we come together. This isn't about blaming. This is about moving forward together and making sure that we call into question and bring to justice the individuals that are choosing to be involved in the crime. Because remember, it's about personal accountability. In the Allentown Police Department, we're going to take the steps necessary to be able to do effective law enforcement, but this is a partnership altogether. With our calls for service, we ended the year with approximately 100,732 calls for service in 2021. That's a 9.3% increase in calls from the year prior. So definitely our officers were busy out there responding to the various calls and also being engaged with our community and our residents. The proactive patrols, which is a key piece, and you might say, hey, Chief Roca, what's proactive patrols? What does that mean? That's basically essentially going out there and not necessarily responding to a call for service, but generating calls, going into businesses, talking with residents, doing effective law enforcement in problem spots that are reported by the neighbors, such as the quality of life crimes that occur, the dirt bikes, the noise complaints, all the various complaints that kind of become issues sometimes that I hear residents complaining about. But your complaints are heard loud and clear, and we have steps that we're taking to address those issues. It's huge, because one of the things that I want to do is I want to grow our police department. And I want to thank City Council for last year passing the COPS grant allocation that we're able to have so that we can grow our number of police officers. But policing is not the sole answer, but it's part of the solution. I just want to get that across. I'm going to say that again. Policing is not the only answer, but it's part of the solution. It takes dedication, it takes community input, it takes nonprofits, it takes all of us with the seat at the table so that we can work together to move forward. You know, a lot of times when we implement something, it's about that education component. It's about doing that enforcement piece. And it's also about having that expectations met and having that feedback component mechanism. And one of the things that I want to do here in the Allentown Police Department is be as transparent as I can and provide you with the information that's necessary so that you hear accurate and timely information, because that's the key piece here, to make sure our community is informed and that we're able to work together on that. With the proactive patrols, that was, like I said, a 28.36% increase, totaling just under 30,000 for the year. And proactive patrols include subject stops, vehicle stops, business checks, just community walks out there, and engaging with our citizenry and in knowing what businesses are out there. You know, unfortunately with COVID, some of the businesses closed down, but others have opened up. And as we're navigating this pandemic, I do see that some new businesses are opening up. So I want to say welcome to the city of Allentown. We're in here together. Allentown is a very resilient city made up of a good group of people with rich and diverse backgrounds. And, I just talked to a resident the other day that lives on South 5th Street, and we were talking about some of the clothing, the headwear that this person was wearing, and just the finite details of that. Everybody, and my message in bringing that up is that everybody has something to offer, and I just want to say thank you to our residents, to our community for making this city one of the most rich and diverse cities that are out there, because we have many good people in the city of Allentown, and I stand with you and support you so that we can move our city forward and overcome a lot of the quality of life issues and some of the crimes, help reduce that, and to empower our community and our officers to work together and to have that ability to move forward. I want to thank our criminal investigators, our criminal investigation division, our patrol officers. I can't tell you how proud I am of our patrol officers. Realize that they have been working through this pandemic since it first began in March of 2020. Many of our officers, they're masked. They're doing the right things. They're making sure that we're doing our part to help reduce that curve and to make sure that as hopefully we approach the endemic where this thing ends and we're able to return to a state of normalcy, that we're here for the residents and citizens, visitors of Allentown, and to know that the police department is a partner, an ally, and an advocate to make sure that Allentown is in the right place. And I want to say thank you for that. I also want to circle back to a couple of things, and Detective Garcia, perhaps you can comment on this a little bit too, but one of the things that I want to emphasize is that it's not just about what the chief of police says, because there are many good officers on our department, in the patrol element, in the investigations unit, in our community outreach, and our support services. This is a big organization, so we want to be able to thank our men and women, and especially our community. Do you have any thoughts on thanking our community or our officers, Detective Garcia?
Absolutely, Chief. First of all, this is our first podcast of the year, so we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Our police officers, my fellow colleagues, we are working hard, and again, like the Chief said, patrol, they're the main force behind our police department. They're the ones out there every day answering the difficult calls and starting the important investigations that obviously are happening in our community. So yeah, I mean, and thank you to everyone who has supported us the last couple of years. We built a really good communication with our community, whether it's through social media, town halls, virtual town halls, in-person town halls, and then just the support that you give us on a daily basis. But yeah, we're all working on this together, and again, it's a new year, and we're going to continue to work, and we just, my colleagues, I'm very proud of my colleagues and how hard they are working. So yes, Steve, this is going to be a good year.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And part of the thing about the making sure that it's a good year is, we're gonna step up to the plate. We're gonna meet a lot of the challenges. There's gonna be some days where incidents happen like today, but we're not gonna shy away from talking to our community and keeping you informed. The message of this is that we're here together. The police department, other city departments. I know that we are here to support our city moving forward, and the many hardworking people, employees that are within the city, from our public safety, public works, to mayor's office, to anything that has to do with the city, that we want to make sure that our city is efficient, that it's moving forward, and that's a positive thing. And part of that also is engagement with our community. Just this week, our school resource officers visited executive education charter school this week. They answered questions about being a police officer, and they did some athletic activity push-ups with the kids. And we want to thank executive education for inviting our police department over there, for this situation. I believe we have a pic that we can post on there that you can see online. I believe it's Officer Newsom there talking to some young people, and they look very, very professional. I love the pants, the shoes, the tie there, and it's great because. And I'll always say this, our youth are our future. They're going to be the ones that are going to replace us. Perhaps someone there will be our future mayor that's standing right there in that hallway. But it's a great thing to see. I see a question on the thing from Liz, what happened today. Just to reiterate, we did have a shooting incident this morning at 5:20 in the morning. There was an adult male victim, received gunshot wounds to the body, was taken to an area hospital for further treatment. Our investigators are working hard to follow up. We are asking again the community if they have seen anything or if they can provide information to please do so. They can contact our police desk at 610-437-7753 or our detective bureau at 610-437-7721, or can provide tips on our tip 411. So any information or additional information will be able to help us in resolving and follow up on the investigation to bring this person to justice, because that's the key part here. So I just wanted to answer that question there. And one of these things that dovetails into my next thing that I'm going to talk about is our ambassador program that we are putting forth in the police department here. And we had our initial meeting at the end of last year where we met with the leaders of the community, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, and the community stakeholders to talk about our community policing initiative for the city with respect to reducing and ending gun violence. Now, I want to stress here that the individual that is choosing to do the crime is the individual that we need to focus our attention on. Now, they're going to be held accountable through enforcement action and through going through the court process, but I also know there's discussions about also helping that individual out, which my hope is that that person does not become involved in recidivism or into other crimes. We need to stand together as a community and put out there that crimes in the city of Allentown are not acceptable. They are going to happen, but we are going to hold people accountable. So that is something that is key. And in this initiative that we talked about, and you see the photo up there, it's a group of us from the community that talked about gun violence and how it impacts that community and steps that we're going to take as a department to address that. Because a lot of times you may hear it from the police department. Some people might listen and kind of understand what we're saying and going through, but there's some that won't tune in to, this podcast or won't reach out to the police. We want to make sure that our community, our police department is inclusive so that people understand the process and the transparency. There's nothing that we're trying to hide. During an investigation, it absolutely is vital for the information to be acted on in an efficient and timely manner, and our detectives have to be able to work on their various leads. So it's key that they get up-to-date information and be able to help in solving the crime that happened. And with the attendees, I just want to point out that some of the attendees that went on that day was Self, Cohesion, Ortiz Arc Foundation, Promise Neighborhood, Pastor Carlos and Wendy Salas, Pastor Tony Jones, Pastor David Rodriguez, Knoxley Sams, Luis Acevedo, Patrice Stanley, Stephen Morrison, Luis Perez, Tino Babion, Janet and David Keschel. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. This is not exclusive of anybody. If you are interested in becoming part of this and having a seat at that table, I welcome anybody to reach out. Again, I don't work in a silo. The police department does not work in a silo. Those days are not going to happen under my watch. It's going to be about making sure that we develop those relationships and that we are at this together and we're not backing down from the reality of the situation of those individuals that are choosing to do the crime in the city. So reach out to us. You can contact us through the APD community at allentownpa.gov email. Address it to Sergeant Williams or Sergeant Leonard, and we will be in contact with you. And these meetings are going to be ongoing so that we can discuss and deliver information out to our community to know exactly, what the police department comprises of, how to reach people, where to get updates from. A lot of stuff we're putting on our social media, but sometimes people might not know that's happening. Some of the items that we've done before COVID was a series APD on the road, which followed around officers in their day-to-day and kind of highlighted some interactions that happened. So look for that in the future. It's going to pretty much give you some updates. Just as an aside, I see a question asking about an update on Detective Stanko. I will give an update later on, but tune in for that. But I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Being at the end of the year last year in 2021, we wanted to bring some holiday cheer to our community. We assisted Hope Church, located at 314 North 12th Street, with distributing some holiday cheer. We were able to bring some gifts, presents to the children there. Pastor Suarez from there, thank you for having us. You see Sergeant Leonard in a graphic giving a gift to a very nicely dressed young lady. She's very cute over there and brings a smile to my face because that's what it's about. It's about, having our youth and taking care of their needs and making sure that as a community, we can back them. And the police department plays a big role in that. So I want to say thank you to Pastor Suarez again for having us in there. We also participated in Shop with a Cop. That stemmed from we went to No Shave November in December where you saw our officers with facial hair. I know that they like having that, and it's something that I enjoy doing, so they can kind of the policy for shaving is put aside for a little bit. They have to donate $20 for each month, and then that money is collected, and then we give back to the community. A graphic that we have up on the screen is from the Shop with a Cop event where we went out to Target with children from the 6th Street shelter, and we were able to be involved in shopping events with them. And thank you for everybody that responded there. We had our police officers. We had one of our former certified recovery specialists, Emily Leonardo. Thank you for coming out. And we had a lot of our staff there that was absolutely phenomenal. I can't thank the Target staff enough for helping us. The America Center absolutely was huge in supporting our mission. After we had the gifts all paid for, we traveled to the America Center where we had a pizza party, and we were able to wrap the presents with the gifts for the kids and the family, and it was a phenomenal time. The smiles on the faces of the children were great, and it's something that is powerful. So and then in December we were able to give a donation to the Boys and Girls Club, and that was something that was great. Because if we can help in the mission of different community groups, events, or community people that are out there, we want to make sure that we are supportive of our individuals. And we want to thank you to the Target Lower Macungie Township, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. We had Melvin over there. I always love seeing Melvin do his dance with the hip shake. Reminds me of a giant hula hoop dance, which is pretty cool. But that's pretty good. We had a school visit where Patrol Officer Kirk Pearson stopped by the Lincoln Leadership Academy, and he read the How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I believe we have a photo of this. I want to thank Officer Pearson for that. I know he loves speaking to the children, loves interacting with our community, and being able to have that impact. And as you can see there, the class looked like they were having fun. You can see the smiles in their eyes, right? Because it's the new normal when we have the mask on. And I have my mask right here, socially distanced, and I'm having it off for now so that you won't hear a muffled response as I'm talking. And that does happen sometimes, but safety is key and it's important. Additionally, we did the Operation Santa Escort on December 19th. the Allentown Police Department, the Fire Department. We were joined by WLEV Radio 100.7 in escorting Santa and Mrs. Claus around the city. That was a good time. It was a cold day, and there was some events going on in the arena, which made traffic a little bit congested, but we got through it. You can see our group there. And that was a great day. We were able to stop in different neighborhoods, pass out some candy canes, bring some cheer to the community. That's always a positive thing to do. And thank you to those that participated in that. A certificate of appreciation, well wishes from a local faith-based youth group that we received in, I believe it was December. Thank you to the group that came through. We were able to give them a tour of the police department, show them the renovated lobby, which we will be opening soon. So a little bit of news for you guys. We did do a little renovation on our front lobby area, and as you can see on the photo there, our actual entrance, and this is going to come out in some due time. We're just finishing on some final touches, is going to be the front entrance at 425 Hamilton Street. So we're getting signage up there so that our public can come in, make reports. We're going to have our prescription drug drop box over there, so that if you have unused or expired medication, you can put it in the slot there, and that gets destroyed. So if you want to do that cleanup, we also, with that prescription medication piece, we hold 2 events through the DEA at the Wegmans and some other participating stores, where we'll have an event in April and then in October, where if you're cleaning out medication that you haven't used in years or is expired, bring that over there so that we can reduce that medication from being out there. The DEA destroys that, and then we go forward. And thank you everybody that participated in that, and thank you to the youth group that came through and spent a few hours with us talking about policing, talking about the department. They gave us some prayers, blessings, so we are very appreciative of that, and thank you for that. The Universal Church, they came through there, and very much we're happy to have them, so thank you. We did participate in a holiday tree toss that was over on the east side. Thank you for everybody that participated in that charity. Great job, Officer Murray and Campanelle in that instance. I believe there's a photo for that too. Detective Garcia, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Again, this is a yearly event. Obviously, with COVID, they stopped for about maybe I think 2 years, maybe a year. But it's a fundraiser. They raise money for different charities. I think one year they gave the donations to the Lehigh County Humane Society. So it's one of those events that we love to participate in, and obviously compete with Bethlehem Police Department, the fire department, those type of things. And then this event here was near and dear, like the chief says. I'll take his saying is near and dear. To Detective Stanko. He actually had a record for the longest throw, so he couldn't be there this year. Is that correct, Chief?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So this year was a little bit down, but we're all going to continue to pray. But this is a great event for raising funds. Again, another way for us to connect with the community.
Absolutely. Thank you. One of the things that I do want to say is, you talk about kind of like having flashbacks, and we had a school visit to Hiram Dodd Elementary School on the south side of the city. Myself, Detective Garcia, and Officer Minaya, we stopped by the school to say hello, and just before the holiday break to speak to the children. And going back to Dodd, which was my elementary school that I went to, and walking in the hallways, it's like coming home again. I can't tell you how happy I was to see the young children. We were in the class there. We took a group photo, and we talked about policing. Detective Garcia spoke a little bit about the various accoutrements that we have on our uniform, the utility belt, all the various pieces of equipment, and just about making good choices, and listening to your teachers, listening to your parents, and doing the right thing, because it's important to do the right thing, because as a leader, you always want to step up to the challenge. That's not saying that you're not going to face adversity, but how you overcome that and how you meet that challenge is going to lead the pathway going forward. So to the young children that were there at Dodd Elementary, thank you for having us in your classroom. Thank you to the teachers there. We absolutely had a great time. The Allentown School District is such a great partner for our city, for our police department. We work hand in hand, and we very much want to see the success of that. I know recently Patrick Palmer, if you're watching or listening, congratulations on becoming a school board director over there. I look forward to seeing your leadership on the board and making sure that our children in the Allentown School District have what they need to be successful in our life. And as an alumni of the Allentown School District, thank you for the hard work of the teachers that are there currently and in the future. It's all about that education piece for our community is so important. And I just wanted to say thank you to those teachers that were there and had us there at Dodd Elementary School that day. There's upcoming community meetings in January, Midway Manor, West Park, Mountainville, Robb area, 8th Ward, Fairview, First Ward, Riverfront, Muhlenberg, Overlook, Franklin Park. And a lot of these times it's all throughout January. So if you can make a meeting or in your area, you want to find out a little bit about how to get involved in that community group meeting, please feel free to do so because I think it's important to do that. And you'll see many of our officers from our community outreach unit there, Sergeant Leonard, Detective Garcia, Sergeant Williams, Officer Newsom, many of the officers that you'll see out in the community. And additionally, at times, you'll even have shift officers from our patrol element come in and say hello. I can't tell you how happy I am that many of our officers are choosing to come and work at the Allentown Police Department and to become a part of what we're doing. I'm not going to sit here to you and say, we've always done it this way and this is the way we're going to stick with it. We're about evolution. We're about making sure that our police department is on the cutting edge with our community. And that's something that I want to stress. A lot of things that we're doing in the direction is the positiveness of how we as a community can come together. You're never going to hear me talk about, working in a silos. Now, being transparent, that's a piece of it, but transparency only shows you what you can see, right? It's also about the outcome. So as we develop information, we're definitely going to put that out. We're going to put the programs out there. Just as a reminder, we're working in conjunction with Cedar Crest College and their Center for Police Innovation that are studying what we're doing with our mental health approach, with our certified recovery specialists, with our crisis intervention team trained officers that are out there, and I want to thank Drew Taylor for spearheading that movement in our department and in the county as wide, not just the Allentown Police Department, but our other local municipal police departments that are involved in the training so that we can have a foundation of de-escalation, a foundation of resource referral, a foundation of where we can provide help to those that need it. In addition, one of the primary things of policing is enforcement, and that's only one aspect of the broad job that police officers have. And in a mental health crisis or approach, I'm not saying that the police officer is a trained therapist, but they are a first responder. And just as we would respond to assist, say, an EMS call and provide first aid, we are going to provide that mental health first aid approach to the individual that is in crisis, and we're going to ensure that they follow through in the process and they get the help that they need through our community intervention specialists and then through the doctors. We have a very good working relationship with our human services partners over in Lehigh County, and we maintain positive work relationships with various levels of state, federal, and local law enforcement. So, we're here for the same purpose, and that's to serve our population, to make sure that our community is on a solid foundation. And I will always underline that we will provide a culture of professionalism and a foundation of law enforcement that is equitable and that comes across in a positive manner. Additionally, with the community groups, I want to mention that there is a new community group, the Franklin Park. It's a newly established group for residents who reside or work in the area between 10th Street and 15th Street and Hamilton to Tillman. Spread the word to the neighbors, and if you want to come out, I believe they're held in the night. If you have any questions about that meeting, reach out to Sergeant Leonard or Sergeant Williams. The phone number for the outreach team is at 610-437-7741, option 2, and ask for either Sergeant Leonard or Sergeant Williams. Both of those officers are very dedicated supervisors in our community outreach unit, and there's somebody that will definitely bring, they'll answer your questions and they'll bring you that knowledge that you can do to make your decisions. If for some reason you can't make it because you have other commitments, that doesn't mean that you're excluded. This is where I was talking about our police community policing initiative, where the ambassador program, where those who are what I call engaged citizens or are the ambassadors for the police department will be able to provide information for you, or an update or something of that nature, where maybe you don't know how to get a hold of a police officer, or maybe you don't know why a program is followed the way it is, or why certain things are happening. We're going to be also looking at releasing some information coming up. We're looking to do a citizen police academy in English and in Spanish. It's something that I feel is important to touch our residents and to increase that knowledge base, because if we have a good foundation of knowledge, we can make informed decisions. And part of that is also studying how our citizens feel about our police department. And in the surveys that we took from our first ever Spanish Citizens Police Academy, or our Citizens Police Academy in Spanish, the feedback, you could see how after having that education piece and that component, how that change was made and how that support is there. So it's important for that. We are definitely going to do some community engagements coming up. We're meeting with our APD PAL youth this weekend. We're going to make some cards for Detective Stanko at the police academy, and send him some good messages. An update for Detective Stanko. He's still currently in the hospital. We absolutely appreciate the community's support, the outpouring of just love. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my mind. We engage with our community with the permission, of course, of Jim's wife. We did post it out there on the social media, just to make sure that we can get as much prayers for our brother, Jim Stanko, so that he can have a good recovery, and something like this, sometimes is very, it hits you in the core. And I'm very humbled by the support that we have from our community, Wegmans, amongst others, that provided donations, to everybody that has reached out to ask about the status. Say your prayers for Jim. Thank you for the support of our community, of our police. It means the world to me, because at the end of the day, we're human also. We're not robots. We have emotions. We want to make sure that our community knows that we are there with you. We're standing with you, and I can see our community standing with us. And it's absolutely the effort that's put forth by you guys that are watching now, and for those that are going to watch later. Thank you. I can't say it enough. Gracias para todo, para ayudar a nosotros. It's huge. It means a lot para mi corazón, for my heart. I can't tell you how happy my mother is praying the rosary. Whatever religious viewpoints you have, whatever that higher power you believe in, just say that little extra word for our brother Jim, and to make sure that he has a speedy and hopefully good recovery to be able to come back. Jim is somebody that gives of himself 24/7. Will give you the shirt off his back. So, as a community, I thank you guys in advance for doing that. One of the things with, stay tuned for the end, because we're going to play a little video about for Jim, kind of putting our prayers forth and that type of thing. I also do want to mention, before we get into that, is we are also actively recruiting for the police department. Our period of recruitment goes from, it started in January. It's going to go, our recruiting period is from there until February the 21st. So if you know of anybody that wants to become a police officer, or wants to step into the challenge of being an officer, fill out an application, send them to us. It's all online. You can see the graphic up there. They have a QR code. We're going to be holding a recruiting event in the very near future. Keep an eye out on our social media, where you can come down and just kind of ask some questions, ask about the job, because sometimes people don't understand what it truly means to be a police officer. And this month I will be completing 20 years of service to the city. When I first started 20 years ago, I felt the great honor and pride in becoming an Allentown police officer, because it meant being part of the solution to the issues. And I'm not going to paint the picture that everything is happy, right? Because we see at times the worst that can happen, right? And our officers deal with the various images and things that happen throughout their time. So we want to make sure that our officers' mental health and their state are good as well. And I want to take a moment to thank our mental health support providers that are out there for availing yourselves to us, for being there, and to know that we are very much engaged with making sure that not only our officers are good and taken care of, but also our community. And I feel very strongly about this. I think I've said this before. My oldest son, who we adopted from Russia, he has autism, ADHD, and a couple different issues. But one of the things that he has is love. I also want to thank Vicki Kistler. Thank you for the invitation. We recently sat in this week, myself, Captain Pammer, and Sergeant John Leonard, for the Suicide Prevention Task Force meeting, where 3 individuals shared their story of suicide and how it affected them, family members that committed suicide. And I just want to say thank you to them for the strength that they showed and for the healing that allows, because for somebody to go through that, it impacts so many people. I remember this clearly, where they said when you're in that depressive state, that it's like you're in a dark room and the 4 walls are there, the ceiling and the lights are off, and you don't know how to get out of that. But let's stand up and do better. That's the message that I got out of that. So let's do this together, folks. And, if you see somebody in trouble and problems, let's be there to support them. With that, please make sure to follow us on our LinkedIn page. We have that on a professional setting. Connect with us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Allentown Police. We very much thank you for listening today, and please don't hesitate to reach out. Any of our officers can provide additional information to you. Simply just ask or give us a call. We engage. We're pretty responsive on our social media platforms, or reach out to me directly. All my information is on our police website. And in conclusion, thank you. I do want to say Union Baptist Church Youth Ministry is coming tomorrow. We're going to engage in communication with them. So I look forward to seeing you, Knoxley. And everybody have a great day today. And please stay tuned for the video that we're going to put for our brother, Detective Jim Stanko. Have a great day. God bless.
Hi, I'm Officer James Stanko with the Allentown Police Department.
Right here, I'm going right now.